One of our favorite people in the world over at the Bone and Joint Institute, Director of Sports Medicine over there, is Stef Bourassa. She joins us on the Bobby V Sports Tech Hotline as the Hartford Healthcare virtual takeover. Steph, how are you, dear?
Hey, Steph.
I'm good, Rob and Ben. How are you? Thanks for having me back.
Oh, we love having you on because there's always injured people that we need to find out how you rehab them. Let's just talk about Patrick Mahomes. High ankle sprain, has 7 days to be ready for the AFC Championship. How do you get that done?
A high ankle sprain is a little different than like normal ankle sprains, like you probably saw with the Celtics player over the weekend. A high ankle sprain is where your bone, which is called your talus, is forced up in the joint, usually from an impact or driving that foot into the ground, which means that it spreads out your shin bone and your fibula, which is that bone that makes up your ankle, which then sprains those ligaments that are associated with it. There is a really low risk that he's not going to play. You're talking about a championship game on the line, so he's going to play, and he's got his team working with him 24/7 right now to get him ready.
What did you think about the decision? I'm sure you watched the game, Steph. I mean, you're always watching all the games, but the decision kind of looked a little funny as far as Patrick wanted to play. Patrick was wanting to play, hopping on one leg, but it looked like, I don't know if it was Coach Reed or the trainers or whoever said, no, you've got to go get an X-ray. Why did he have to go get an X-ray?
Yeah, so we follow what's called the Ottawa ankle rules and the foot rules. So we look at the mechanism of injury, where they're tender to palpation. Are they unable to bear or wait for 4 steps? So, like, if I touch your ankle and it's point tender over a certain spot or over your foot, if you're not able to take 4 steps unassisted and looking at that mechanism of injury, then that really is the clinical indications for an X-ray. So we want to just rule out a fracture, because playing on a fracture is never a good thing. Playing on an ankle sprain is something that the athletic training staff can tape them up, brace them up, get them back out there, but we want to rule that out as quickly as possible.
Can you shoot it with painkillers and wrap it and put them out there?
It's not recommended. The NFL has different resources than what we would have, locally with the sports medicine perspective. But wrapping it, bracing it, giving him some ice, some ibuprofen or some kind of, a leave or something of that nature. Whatever the medical team would work with together to make him stay on the field is what they're going to be doing.
So what are we doing all week? Like, what guy is he booting it? Is he, ice and heating it? Like, what are the kind of things that you are running him through to get him ready for Sunday?
Yeah, so we actually have a pretty cool protocol, pun intended on the cool aspect, because ice is really important for the first 7 to 10 days after an acute injury like this. We would be doing a lot of cold submersions to try to decrease inflammation, decrease that swelling, try to work on proprioception. So that's a big part of it, is getting that ankle to know where it is in space, because he's going to be cutting and juking and going, over the scrimmage line and trying to gain some yards. We got to make sure that he's ready to make those quick movements and feel strong enough. We want to make sure that his offensive line is supporting him and getting him enough of a pocket so he doesn't have to run as much, trying to minimize that, but definitely getting him stronger, working on some balance, and preventing some of that swelling and pain.
In the case of like an AZ FUD, Steph, and re-injuring the knee, or maybe there's an injury because of the weakness of a knee, what would you recommend on these young athletes? Obviously trying to get back up to championship caliber play at Division I's not easy, even for a young phenom like AZ.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of indications of some ankle mobility and some hip strengthening in addition to strengthening the knee up. A lot of cofactors go into this. Rest. Luckily, right now there's not a heavy amount of caseload, but we're going back into scholastics starting again. So sleep cycle is huge. Nutrition, the psychological aspect of things for sure. But getting her stronger isn't the only thing. We want to make sure that we're taking care of the whole athlete, and underlying issues. Looking at some mobility limitations and some strength is definitely something we would be looking at too.
You briefly mentioned a Celtics player spraining his ankle. I'm sure you're talking about Marcus Smart. Dibs was saying about the low tops, or I guess
he's probably got his ankles wrapped. Explain that. Probably most basketball players wrap their ankles to tape and stuff, but they're still wearing low top, which is low support.
Yeah, so there's the only research that actually supports ankle taping or taping of any kind of body part is actually the ankle. There's a lot of literature that support it, and this is probably something he's been doing since his AAU days. Is he sprained his ankle once and has been wearing the tape ever since. And low tops are fine if we're doing a lot of what we call foot intrinsic strength. We find that a lot of these athletes need those small muscles to be firing in their ankles and their feet a little bit more. So tightening them up, definitely prevents the high tops, gives that little extra buffer support so he wouldn't roll it as much as he did. But he did your typical lateral ankle sprain where he kind of rolled right out of his shoe with planting that ankle. So, he's going to be looking at the similar protocol, less of that bone contusion worry as we would with the high ankle sprain, but definitely a similar protocol of icing, compression, active motion. So gone are the days of kind of putting them on crutches for a while. We want you to actively get that ankle moving a little bit quicker.
Nika Mule's been wearing these braces on the outside of her socks and shoes. What is that about?
Not sure. I'd have to look into that one. You're going to throw me a curveball this time around,
That's what Dibs does.
Well, that's what I do. But no,
they're usually called sliders.
Can you wear some type of protective brace if you have, like, just say a twinge of a painful ankle?
Yeah, I mean, that's what bracing is for. Orthotics and prosthetics and bracing is really there from a perspective of acute management or, for somebody who has a long-term condition. We see it a lot in neurological conditions where we will give them a foot brace to give them that little extra physiological advantage. So their body's unable to do something, and we need to produce and use an outside source to help them produce that. So for sure, those are indicated, especially with athletes. They're not usually indicated for long-term use, but I'm not really familiar with this particular case and would definitely have to do a little.
Oh, you got to check them out. They're like boots.
Yeah. Well, now you're going to pique my interest. I'm going to go do that.
It's probably something she's going to buy for the facility. Stefanie Bourassa, sports and medicine, also the motor analysis manager. I didn't know that was the new title on the parking spot. Bone and Joint Institute, Hartford Healthcare. She's one of our favorite people in sports medicine. But I'm sure you guys all have a new hero these days. Denny Kellington, the trainer who revived Damar Hamlin. What was you've been here and done that in the world of sports. I don't know if you ever had a situation like that on the field, but as someone that's an athletic trainer, sports medicine, when you see all of that going on, just what were your thoughts as somebody that's on that side of things in athletics with what Denny Kellington ended up doing with Damar Hamlin?
Yeah, I'll actually say that one of our colleagues and teammates, one of our athletic trainers, actually had a similar incidence of this happening this past fall. So it's something that our team is prepared for. We practice CPR and AED applications on a quarterly basis. We practice spine boarding. We practice this emergency medicine and emergency action plan activation on a round-the-clock basis. So I'm confident in our athletic training colleagues. They have the tools and resources to save people's lives. And they've done it this past fall, and they will continue to do so. I mean, our biggest thing is athletic trainers are the best people to be on the sidelines to help prevent or do some acute injury and illness management for all athletes. And that was the very first thing I actually did. Was I didn't even look at the fact that I knew it was commotio cordis and knew what was going to go on. I went to the Bills website and found out who their athletic training staff was, because kudos to them for activating and recognizing it. And I am really proud to have them as colleagues within the sports medicine world.
Awesome, fantastic. Talk about your motion lab and all that stuff. We've talked about injuries and things like that, but one of the things that we love is the preventative medicine that the Bone and Joint Institute recommends for young athletes. And the more these young athletes are specializing in one particular sport year round, I have a lot of baseball only players that come through my place. Explain that getting a baseline assessment, and maybe you have a weakness, maybe you have a weak knee, maybe you have like AZ Fudd torn ACL, MCL back in high school, and need some looking after as you go on to college and things like that. Explain some of the things from the Bone and Joint Institute that can help young athletes.
Yeah, we actually call them athletic performance provider evaluations for them. So we look at these profiles that we've designed. They're based on literature. They're based on how athletes move, what they balance, what their strength output looks like, how their ability to decelerate or jump and control that. We've done 152 of them in the past 3 months, which is pretty phenomenal for the team. And we're really highlighting, exactly like you said, some movement opportunities, some strength deficits, some imbalances that could be corrected, either utilizing your strength and conditioning staff, athletic training staff, or physical therapy if that's indicated. There's certain scores that kind of give us that cusp of, well, we need to see the computer and the AI aspect of things and see a little bit more in depth on what the joints are doing and the joint kinematics and forces. And those are the ones that we flag as risks and put them into the motion lab and have them do the complete workup. But these athlete performance profiles are really neat and amazing technology to help keep athletes safe.
Who you got this weekend?
Oh, I don't know if I want to tell you on air. I think we might have to send that one through an email or a text on that. But it'll be a great game to watch, that's for sure.
There you go. Steph, you are the best. Thank you so much for your time, dear, and thank you for always being available to us.
No problem. And one last little thing, too, just as a side note, through Hartford Healthcare, patients actually no longer require a referral for physical therapy. So you don't necessarily have to go see your primary care physician to get in our doors. So more than willing and able to help anybody who's dealing with any ailments without that referral needed anymore.
Thank you. You're the best. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Steph.
it.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right. Stef Bourassa, everybody, over at the Bone and Joint Institute, Hartford Healthcare. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, talk some UConn women's basketball, and people are upset on some people that aren't on the All-America list. We'll be right back.